You gotta watch this video today because you're gonna learn how you can take advantage of 5 things that'll prevent you from staying poor when it comes to real estate investing, and learn why the people who really succeed. And it's all thanks to construction. Cat litter over here. Raw. Today we're talking about the number 1 thing that is keeping people poor that want to invest in real estate, and almost probably the number 1 reason they don't. Construction, when it comes to real estate investing, has a really bad reputation because there's a lot that can go wrong in construction, and that's why a lot of people don't get involved in construction, and they don't get involved in investing in real estate, and they end up just watching videos and never actually doing things. So hopefully the message you take away from these is when you watch these, that you start doing as well. You see, construction is one of those fields where you can become an expert at construction, you can become an expert at investing in real estate. So join us today so we can talk a little bit about that topic. Mildew! Construction is known for a lot of problems, and the reason it's known for a lot of problems is because there are a lot of problems, and that's why a lot of people just don't actually end up buying a property that needs cosmetic work or a fixer-upper, even though I say it in almost every single video, because there's a lot of fear and unknown. And I'm going to give you 5 takeaways on how you can hopefully get over that. The number 1 mistake I see is the failure to start for fear of what might happen if you start. I did a podcast interview today with Pat Hyben. Great guy, interviews a lot of real estate agents. And the number 1 thing that came up, and I even noticed it in some of the things that he was saying, that he's been a victim of this, is the failure or fear of starting. The thought that, let me talk to a bunch of people before I actually start doing something. And guess what? The only way you're actually gonna learn is if you start. And you do it, and you get beat up, and you mess up, and you make mistakes, and you lose money. And then you'll start learning. The number 2 reason why you're staying poor at real estate investing while other people are getting rich in real estate investing. They go where they're not comfortable. Come on, autopilot, you're being funny.
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the am I funny? What the is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Don't be afraid to get into something maybe you're not super familiar with, but be understanding that you're going to have to put the effort in to learn how to do it correctly, so that way you can do number 3. Here's what I mean by that. If you don't know how to deal with asbestos, look it up and learn the exact procedures and protocol to make sure that anybody working on asbestos is safe working around asbestos. If you're not comfortable with lead, do the same thing you did for asbestos. If you don't know how to do an addition or how to pull a permit, then do it and figure it out by having the tenacity to research exactly how to do it, by pulling the permits to do it correctly. And then when you make mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes every time they pretty much do anything, there's nothing wrong with that. Even the most seasoned professionals who scrape asbestos ceilings for a living make mistakes doing asbestos removal. There's no doubt about that. That's why the protocols are so stringent, because they allow for a tolerance and they allow for mistakes. You can learn how to do it as well. Number 3, after you get over the fear of doing something new, you have to have the tenacity and wherewithal to realize where you made a mistake, and then you have to go back and fix it. There's no better way to learn than to start, to make mistakes and try it and get in there and really try to learn, and then to learn by correcting the mistakes you made, because when you correct those mistakes, you're really gonna take your skills to the next level in anything you do. It doesn't matter how new you are at it, you're gonna get better by doing it. Look at our project board. Every change order, every specific job with high detail, and every task we need to do has to be in one designated place so there's no miscommunication. This one, very important, paint colors have changed. You can see how I made it really obvious, because the fine print detail over here, all this, a totally different color, so totally different direction. Big star, red print, big font, good. Changes, good. Mistakes, not good. Number 4, after you do a construction project, you're going to have made mistakes. You're going to have done things you've never done before, but you were fearless enough to do it and to tell yourself that you messed up when you made mistakes, and you've researched enough to know that you made mistakes, so you know that, oh yeah, that's not the right way it should be, like this beam over here I'll show you in a second, so that you can now look back and say, well, how was my budget? I went in with a budget or an expectation of this price, and my project ended up with costs at this price. Now, you either have to figure out, well, is the price this high because, well, maybe that's just what it costs and in the future I need to budget that much, or did my mistakes bump this up? Or was it a combination of those two? And when you can learn how to really set your budget up from the construction mistakes and budgets and initial stuff that you did, then you're gonna set yourself up for number 5. And that's really what's gonna take you away with some real money. But first, let me show you some money-losing stuff from improper disclosure and lack of permits. Check this out. Right here used to be a diagonal wall that came out as sort of a cosmetic element to the house, or that was the appearance. Before we were ever involved with this property, this wall was removed. Take a look at this sort of diagonal jut out here by the windows, and the owners brought some of their furniture, so there's a little bit of clutter here, and washers and dryers. But you see this sort of diagonal jut out over here. A similar design was right here. Well, the prior owners said, hey, well, we decided to just get rid of that, and we made this little nook, which right now is where the refrigerator is being stored. So they added this on, is what they said, and they said they got rid of the section that was here. But what they didn't say was what was the most damaging part. And keep this in mind, I was not involved in this transaction in the capacity of a real estate agent. I got involved in this property after the property had closed escrow from a contracting point of view. So we had nothing to do with any of the disclosures or things that happened here. But I saw a copy of the disclosures after the fact, and the prior owner said, we're not aware of any items not in compliance with building codes, and we're not aware of anything that has not been permitted in the house. Well, then we started exploring a little bit, and we found that this very spot that I'm standing under right now is actually a crucial post location to hold up the entire master bedroom, which isn't a big deal now, but if there were an earthquake, this entire ceiling could have come down because that beam is floating right now. Fortunately, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna permit it, and we're gonna make it right. Oh, and we kind of started realizing what we were getting into when we saw electrical like this inside of the walls. We even have a picture that one of the guys took here of a nail through one of these wires. Just no regard for nail plates or safety or anything, so it's really no surprise that this happened. Now, I have to put a big disclaimer in this. If you just suck and you're not a meticulous person, then don't do construction. Because if you know by having an electrician show you, or by looking on YouTube, or by reading books, you know that the best way to wire an outlet is to bend the wire, use the 12 gauge wire, go up in a size of gauge, twist it around the screw the correct way, make sure it's tight, there's no looseness to prevent fires. If you know all of those things, and you know that using the screw is better than backstabbing, just plugging it in and relying on the spring to use it. Yet, when you go to change an outlet, you just quickly shove them in the back, you didn't trim the wire correctly, and you're setting yourself up for electrical hazards. You should not be doing construction. X out of this video right now because you suck. If you know you're doing it wrong, and you know it's not the preferred method, and you're still doing it that way, you suck, and you need to exit out of this video and never do construction again, and probably don't invest in real estate. I'm sitting on a red fire hydrant, and I have absolutely no idea how much fire hydrants cost. Didn't even look it up, which I'm sure it'd be pretty easy to look up, but I have absolutely no clue. And that's the theme of this video. If you have no clue and you walk into the mechanic shop, there is a chance, this is nothing against mechanics, but there's a chance you can get taken advantage of. If you go into the construction industry and you have no clue about anything in construction, you could get taken advantage of. So you really need to see the 5 steps here to learn about construction and how you can really take advantage of the secrets. Number 5, after you've come up and you've made the mistakes, you've admitted the mistakes, you've come up with the budget, and you've now realized what construction actually costs you, the number 5 thing is you're going to apply it to future investments. Now, use those numbers Learn how to analyze deals because now you understand construction. You can refine your budgets and you can actually prevent yourself from getting screwed. So you're going to make mistakes early on. You will mess up, but it's okay because you're going to set yourself up for a lifetime of not making mistakes. So don't be afraid to start. I always say don't be afraid to start, but now I'm applying it to construction. Don't let construction scare you. And if you don't let construction scare you, you can't get taken advantage of, and you'll be one of the winners.
Hey, yo, Lowen! Is knowing construction and construction-related stuff important for real estate and property management?
Yeah. I think that it is very important. If you know how much things should cost, then it shouldn't be as frightening to actually enter into a situation where you're actually remodeling a place. I actually know an example. My dad's best friend, who happens to be a very successful person, he's building a house in Ojai, and it's a really, really wonderful, like 5,000-6,000 square foot home, and it's going to be gorgeous. He got this bid for painting just the exterior of his house, and his bid was literally $72,000 to paint the exterior of his house. And when he heard that, him being a broker, knowing real estate, having done flips, having done a lot of things related to construction, he goes, oh, hell no. Like, that is not okay. And obviously, no, I'm not going to be using you. So that's the importance of knowing how much things cost, because, if somebody has that happen to them and then they go, oh my gosh, that's how it is supposed to be, like, oh gosh, I can't pay that amount. And then they tell a friend and they say to the friend, like, hey, it was like, $72,000 to get my house painted. Then that friend is frightened too. It's like, wow, that's how much it costs to get your exterior painted? Like, that's insane. So then it's just like, it has this snowball effect of everybody thinking that it costs way more than it actually does, and it's false. Know your stuff. Just walked out of her class, her self-defense taekwondo kung fu kickboxing class, to say, Kevin? I heard it.